Oh dear, topic of the week, and we're back again at this old chestnut. Now, of course we had to talk about this. It's the story of the moment, isn't it? And I honestly can't believe this. We're dedicating 3 episodes of the podcast to this nonsense. And I can nearly say it now on the record. We're probably going to dedicate another one to this until it's all resolved. This thing is such a mess. Such a mess. And you know, I'm being brutally honest here. All right? Let's stop for the podcast nonsense right now. All right? I'm just going to level with you. Piping fan to piping fan right now. I'm sick of talking about this. I was just being brutally honest. I really wish that this situation would have been resolved by now. And the number one thing that would have resolved all of this is openness and honesty by our association. Now, I mean that in the best possible way. At the moment, everything seems to be so much cloak and dagger and, oh, don't tell them anything. That's what causes so much speculation and guessing, and everyone doesn't know what's going on. And then it gets everyone annoyed, and everyone starts commenting on social media, and then it's fighting between people, and it just gets worse. It just gets worse and worse and worse. And I'm so, what's the word, Robert? I'm going to look up the dictionary. Exacerbated? Yeah, I'm absolutely cheesed off talking about this nonsense, and I've pretty much had my fill, but the story continues. It continues in the way that it twists and turns and goes down more interesting avenues where people just go, oh, I didn't see this coming. Oh. And yeah, this week we had a big uh-oh. In fact, a huge uh-oh. Now, for those of you who haven't been kept up to date on everything to do with the RSPBA headquarters redevelopment, go and check out part 1 and part 2 on this. I'm not going to go over old ground, but suffice to say, there was over £1 million in the bank. RSPBA decided to spend it on refurbing a brand new headquarters building. Well, not even a brand new building. They refurbed an old building that was their headquarters in Glasgow. Spent £1 million on a new building, and a lot of people are quite annoyed about it, and for various different reasons, a lot of which could be founded and a lot of which could be unfounded, and it's difficult to know why or how the money was spent, and the association aren't saying anything. They're being very quiet. They were asked, actually, at a branch meeting, to publish all the financials, and that will stop all of this. You know, and people stop asking questions and they go, oh, well, fair enough. Yep, the money was spent in a good way, and here you go, grand, here's the check, and here's the receipt, and da-da-da. Everyone's happy. But that didn't happen. Nothing's been published yet. Nothing's been released yet. And if anything, if any questions come to them, nothing's said. Absolutely nothing. Okay, I'm getting annoyed now. I'm getting pepped up on my own dang podcast. This thing is getting so ridiculous. I'm so sick of talking about it, but I need to get into it. Now, this week, what was the big uh-oh? Well, we had Winter Storm. Winter Storm was simply brilliant, and it showed you just how cool and how vibrant the bagpiping world can be. It's simply a shining example of what bagpiping and drumming can do. It can bring people together from around the world to enjoy some incredible music, lift some beers, and have some good camaraderie over something as common of loving the sound of the Great Highland Bagpipe. And that's what that was all about. So at the end of Winter Storm, and Winter Steam closed its doors, everyone was on a high. Myself included. I sat up to stupid o'clock in the morning watching the live stream, watching Stuart Little play a blistering performance. I was so tired the next day. I was in a bit of a daze, and something happened. I honestly thought I dreamt it. Now, this is no word of a lie, full disclosure again. I honestly thought that I dreamt it. I dreamt that this happened. And then, I went to bed at like 3 in the morning here in the UK. And woke up and thought, oh, come on, that didn't really happen. And I went to bed for another kip after a bit. I got like 3 hours sleep and go back up again. And I checked my phone again and realised that what's going on? At 30 messages, it's 20 odd emails going, and then realizing all of this craziness was happening. And Rab, this isn't a dream. This is actually happening right now. Now, what am I talking about? I'm talking about the national media here in the UK. This became such a huge story that it hit the national media. Now, what am I talking about? Why am I being so dang cryptic? Well, newspapers such as The Times and the Daily Record and the Sunday Mirror all released articles on RSPBA and the fact that they were being investigated by the Scottish charity regulator, the SCR. Now, the very fact that they were being investigated to begin with caused so much of a stir that it hit the newspapers with headlines such as "Money Bags, Anger After Piping Charity Blows £1 million on Refurbishing HQ with Only 5 Workers." Now, when you see headlines like that, it's brutal. It's brutal. And then, obviously, there's photographs with Ian Ambleton in there and a load of pipers and drummers and stuff. And they're talking about how angry the membership is. And, you know, how this big investigation's now going on by the charity regulator. Now, the reason why they're being investigated and all of that, we've covered it already on part 1 and part 2. There's so many financial concerns and so many irregularities that obviously someone out there in the bagpiping world felt so obliged to actually report them to the charity regulator. Now, at the moment, we have been waiting for the smoke to clear. We seen all of these news stories drop on the Daily Record, on the Times and Sunday Mirror, and all of these real scathing articles that really paint the RSPBA in such a negative light, then it's really hard to see the other side of the story. Now, I will hold my hand up here, and I looked at some of the stuff that was in these articles. Pipesdrums.com as well were publishing stuff on this. And they were basically commenting and stuff on how these articles were published and the stuff that they missed, according to pipesdrums.com. Now, there are financial irregularities where there's supposed to be like a buffer of so many odd thousand in the account to keep the organisation running, whereas the RSPBA have effectively, there's a slip for you, they have effectively emptied the coffers. They have spent over £1 million and there's no more savings, there's no fallback. So they've spent that £1 million. In fact, they have to borrow more to actually outfit the building with furniture and such. And that's why we've heard stories recently where they've asked judges to volunteer their fees back to the organisation to help them afford furniture. We've covered that. That's quite a ropey story. Not fun. And yes, it did happen. And yes, that's a reality. And now we know why. Because the £1 million that was took out of the coffers effectively wiped out anything worth of a backup. So there is all sorts of rules and regulations in there for an organised charity that they do need to have a particular financial buffer to keep the business, to keep the charity running, even if they are, furiously fundraising. This all sounds incredibly dull, but suffice to say, there is an investigation ongoing by the Scottish charity regulator. Now, this was all published on Sunday, and all the Sunday papers, which here in the UK is a huge deal. Sunday papers are like, they're not tabloids, you know what I mean? These are serious newspapers who would investigate stories over a series of a week and then finally publish it once they're sure that the story is concrete. You know what I mean? So these guys have done their homework and published these stories. And the bagpiping world was in such a furore. It was deafening. The amount of emails and things I got from you guys saying, "Oh my God, look at this. Is this true?" And my only answer was, yes, it's true. This has been happening. And we've talked about it on 2 different podcasts now. And here it is. It's now went as far as national media. Now, this shows that this problem is simply escalating. It was initially a problem that we were dealing with in-house. Us as bagpipers and drummers and association and such, we were arguing amongst ourselves. You know, our own little piping family, we were all fighting with each other and nobody else really bothered about us because, I guess them crazy pipers and drummers over there, just let them argue. Do you know what I mean? Well, this thing has now escalated. It's got bigger and bigger, so much so that it's hit the national press and it's drew quite a lot of negative attention from around the world. Not just here in the UK, but around the world. Now, as a result, we do think that RSPBA were forced to put out a response, giving the sheer volume of stuff being flung their way, asking for a statement, for an interview, for anything, myself included. I asked them myself, would they want to appear on the Rab Show and tell us their story? And the answer was, no, we're going to put a statement out and that'll cover everything. All right? So I thought, okay, you're going to put a statement out. We all love statements here on the Rab Show, and you guys are going to put something out and put everyone's mind at ease, and all of this will go away, and everything will be hunky-dory. It will be great. Well, as always, RSPBA puts out a statement and makes things worse. Oh, I don't mean to laugh, but I'm so sorry that this has made things worse. First of all, should I say, on social media, there was posts from actual officials in the association and were really quite scathing. And yeah, us in the Rab Show have been sent various different screenshots and such of this person commenting this and this person commenting that. And social media is one of those things where, yes, you can have keyboard warriors and they're posting all sorts of craziness. Now, whether they're actually commenting on behalf of the association or if they're commenting on behalf of themselves personally, the lines blur. Because obviously people know that person from the association, so it's difficult to know. Plus, we all remember what happened to Jim Kilpatrick back in the day whenever he was posting stuff on social media. They did ask him, was he posting it on behalf of himself personally, on behalf of his business, or on behalf of the band? And we all remember what happened when Jim Kilpatrick got served with a big ban. So there are tons of social media rules in place if you're a member of the association. So now that we see officials from the RSPBA posting all sorts of stuff on social media, it does make us wonder, what about those regulations that Mr. Kilpatrick had to go by and got all sorts of suspensions and bans and craziness? I don't know. The bagpiping world has just gone insane this last while, and social media seems to be where the insanity lives. So I'm not going to read verbatim who commented what the comment was and who they said it about or what it was about or blah, blah, blah. I'm not going to call out any of that nonsense because that's such murky waters. It's unbelievable. So the people out there know who they are, and you guys who are involved in social media, you can go and check it out for yourself. It's available all up there now. You can look at the commentary and all of this story. Yikes, do so at your own risk. But there's one such statement that came out from the RSPBA Lothian and Borders branch, who put it on their social media page. And it was in Sunday morning, actually, when all of these stories dropped. They put it out there saying, "Morning, folks. Another ridiculous article criticising the RSPBA published in the Scottish press." Now, I'm quoting this verbatim, by the way. He said, "This one looks to have been fed by people outside of the organisation looking for visibility for their own good. Happy to answer any questions at the branch meeting on the 26th of January at 6 p.m. in Bell's Quarry Hall. There is nothing to hide." So that's the very first kind of a statement that we've seen from an actual branch. Now, this one was quite scary, saying, hey, we have nothing to hide. Come to our branch meeting and you'll get all the answers to the questions that you want. Okay? So be it. Everyone looked at that and thought, okay, great, nothing to hide. Well, here's a bunch of questions. Now, they went on to that, statement on social media and started asking tons of questions. And as a result, the RSPBA Lothian and Borders branch actually found themselves inundated with questions from the bagpiping world. They opened the door and bagpipers and drummers all filed in with tons of questions about this. Now, this statement said they had nothing to hide, and the Lothian and Borders branch refused to answer any of the questions, and in fact started deleting some of them. In fact, they deleted quite a lot of the comments on that post on social media. So that's kind of, censorship, I suppose. deleting comments and such, and it's very murky waters. But hey, it is what it is. They put that statement out there, and that's how things went on social media. The RSPBA headquarters themselves put out an actual statement, and again, following the rule of thumb, when a statement gets issued, things just get worse. Now, this one came from the table of RSPBA HQ. This one reads, a statement from the board of directors. Now, this one means that there's a bunch of people have read this and said, yeah, put that out. This is a good idea. We'll put that out and people will be grand with it. So, strap yourselves in. This one reads, following the articles in the national press last weekend, the board of directors would like to state that the Office of Scottish Charities Register, which is the charity regulator that we were talking about, they have confirmed that there is no formal inquiry into the RSPBA. They have a few questions, and we will be providing them with all of the detailed information relating to the refurbishment of 45 Washington Street. Full stop. Now, that was it. So that was RSPBA effectively telling us there's no investigation, lads. Nothing to worry about here. Move along. Now, this was interesting, because why would the national media publish stories saying that there was an investigation, and here's the association saying the opposite? Now, this got us all sorts of intrigued, thinking, well, someone's lying here. What's going on? Are the newspapers caught with their trousers down? Well, it's all in the wording, I feel. It's all in the wording. In this statement, it says there's no formal inquiry. And when you read further in the statement, it says a few questions. They have asked a few questions. Now, I actually contacted the OCR, the Office of Scottish Charities Register. So I contacted them themselves, and I did ask them, is there an ongoing investigation to the RSPBA at the moment? And the answer I got was, no, there's no formal inquiry. There's no actual full-blooded investigation. However, they may be in the process of asking preliminary questions. Now, whenever you read the Pipes Drums article, pipesdrums.com very quickly published an article after this statement was released and saying, yeah, a formal inquiry hasn't been launched, but a preliminary inquiry has. They're asking preliminary questions, kind of putting the feelers out there to see if there is anything untoward. Now, the association have been very quick to jump and say, yep, here you go, there's all the information, here's the audit reports, here's the financial information, have it all, there you go. Now, they've been so quick to jump and provide all of that information that has all of us bagpipers and drummers wondering, well, why was it so easy to publish for them and not for us whenever we asked for it? Hi, I don't know, must be top secret. Anyway, the association put it out themselves that yes, they are asking preliminary questions, a few questions, and they'll be providing them with detailed information. And from the regulator themselves, they said yes, it's not a full formal investigation, because those could in fact take years. So what they're doing, first of all, is putting the feelers out there, basically. In layman's speak, they're putting the feelers out just to have a little poke around to see, well, is there something to look at here? Is there something we should be concerned about? Because if there is, and then we spend all this money launching a full investigation, we want to make it worth our while. So I guess what pipesdrums.com is trying to put out on their article is that there's no smoke without fire, and that the very fact that they're asking questions to begin with is very concerning. And if anything, that's where we stand here on the Big Rab Show right now. You guys always criticize me for not giving my opinion, and that's my opinion. I'm genuinely concerned about this. I'm actually really worried. Beforehand, it was just an argument that we were having in-house. This was something that we were thrashing out at branch meetings, and the AGM's coming up in March. So at branch meetings, we would fight and we would argue and vote on stuff, and we'd complain and yap at each other. But essentially, we're all doing it for the same reason, for the love of the instrument. We love this music. And that's what our association is supposed to be there to do. It's supposed to help us celebrate our incredible instrument, our music, our culture, our way of life in the bagpiping world. That's what the RSPBA are tasked to do. And yeah, to be honest, they do an incredible job. They run some of the best events in the bagpiping world. Come on, our competitive season is second to none. It's simply incredible. And so to hear that our own association is being investigated for possible financial irregularities, really worrying. Now, yes, it's not a formal investigation, so I must stress that it's not a full-blooded formal investigation with solicitors and everything, but it's still a preliminary investigation. It still has that word in there, investigation. The very fact that they're asking questions in the first place is very concerning. Now, obviously, us on the Big Rab Show have asked the guys at RSPBA to get in contact with us, and again, we want to reflect their side of the story. But this has proven so difficult now that they're basically a closed shop. They're nearly point blank refusing to talk to us right now on anything to do about this. Now, yeah, obviously, our door is wide open. Anyone here on the Big Rab Show team can be contacted at any time. You can email us, bigrabshow@gmail.com. And all of this, to be honest, it's coming from a point of concern. I did say that I'm sick to the back teeth talking about this, and it's for that same reason. I just wish this problem would go away and we can carry on with enjoying our music. Do you know what I mean? It's about playing in that circle, enjoying it, having the best time, and hopefully lifting a wee trophy or a medal at the end of the day with your mates. That's what this is about. You know what I mean? And all of this stuff about financial irregularities and, I don't know. It's so disheartening. It really is. It's so depressing. Every time I think about this, I just feel depressed and think this could go so much better. It could be so much better, and all would really take would to get answers to some of the questions. Now, if those answers lead us somewhere, fine, fine, so be it. But if not, if the answers say, well, here you go, here's your answer, are you happy now? And you go, well, okay, fair enough. Right, okay, we're competing on Saturday then. Great, brilliant. But it's all the secrecy. It's all the cloak and dagger. It's all the, we'll tell them nothing. Tell them nothing. I just don't get it. I just don't understand it. Us on the Big Rab Show, we really want to try and give both sides of this argument, and it's proving so difficult. It's honestly, this is the hardest story that we've had to cover, because honestly, there has been two sides to every argument, and we normally do manage to provide both sides. We normally are able to say, this happened, and then this guy says this guy says that. We normally give the two sides of the argument, and then we give our position, what we think here in the Big Rab Show. Well, at the moment, the overriding feeling is absolute silence from RSPBA, which is so depressing. It's ridiculous, because we have so many questions. Now, they tell us we can get answers at branch meetings. No, we can't, because we've just seen an example of that. We've requested financial information and stuff like that to be published, and so far, nothing. And that was a good while ago now. And if anything, someone had to take the gumption to actually record the meeting, and the recordings of that made its way to pipesdrums.com, and we had all of the revelations that we had to talk about last year. So, this is so messy. RSPBA, if anybody out there from the association is listening right now, please get in contact with us. We will certainly act under contract of anonymity. We will definitely keep your name out of it, but we really want to try and present your side of the story. At the moment, that's proving to be incredibly difficult. I do know that the association have a dedicated team of volunteers who do work tirelessly. Honestly, I can tell you now, a lot of the volunteers who work for the association volunteer a crazy amount of time to piping and drumming to try and make our competitive year as smooth and as professional run as possible. And I can't sing their praises enough. However, the board of directors and the chief exec and all these other people who seem to be so reluctant to help and talk to us and give us answers to some of these big questions that your membership really wants to know, I just don't know what's going on. And that's what's so frustrating. People on social media are commenting and fighting backwards and forwards all the time, and it's getting vicious now. It's nearly getting to the point where people are getting slanderous, and that's dangerous, because then you can almost be talking court cases and stuff here. Now, this is all getting a bit out of hand. So I would remind everyone out there listening to the podcast right now, who possibly like me are so disheartened and very saddened by all of this, whenever thinking about commenting on stuff on social media, please be mindful, that the stuff that you're saying does have impact. The people that you're pointing the finger at and saying, oh, it's all your fault kind of thing, it does have an impact. But, believe it or not, these things, this is a reality. It is happening at the moment, and it is having a big detrimental impact to the bagpiping world. And, yeah, pouring petrol on the flames doesn't make them go away. It only makes it worse. So, yeah, I do know a lot of people in the bagpiping world who are absolutely reluctant to talk about this situation for fear of reprisal. Now, obviously, us in the Big Rab Show, we're taking a huge gamble by talking about this story in the first place. Here we are, we've dedicated 3 episodes to it now, so you guys can't really accuse us of avoiding the big stories, especially the controversial ones, because this one, believe it or not, is a hot potato. A lot of people in the bagpiping world are even reluctant to hit like on a post or even a smiley face or something. They're reluctant even to hit that thumbs up button because they would immediately be associated with supporting a particular post or point of view. And in return, their entire band could be blackballed whenever it comes to a competitive competition. That's the fear. I'm not saying it would happen, but that's the genuine fear out there, that if someone was to raise their head above the parapet and actually say something on the situation and say, well, hi, I think it's wrong, or hi, I think it's right, you should all shut up. Well, to take that risk and to lift your head and say, hi, I think this is right, or I think it's wrong, you do run the risk of getting it chopped off by the association and saying, yep, that guy spoke there, okay, sort of might come the next major. I'm not saying it happens, but that's the genuine fear. People are genuinely scared of speaking up, and that's the overriding feeling here. RSPBA are terrified to talk because they don't want to put a foot wrong, and I can see that. I can really see that. They are employing, you say it best when you say nothing at all, and that's not the case with this one. You need to come out and give us answers, folks, because saying nothing's making it worse. And also, for bagpipers and drummers, they're also keeping silent on the whole thing and hoping that it'll go away. Well, the problem's still there. It's not going to go away if you ignore it. And that's the thing. You can sit in your band halls and have your opinions and moan to all your buddies about how crap the piping world is, but if you don't speak up and try to change it, then of course things are going to continue to get bad. You know what I mean? So, it's a double-edged sword, isn't it? You're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't. And at the moment, this situation just grinds and gets gradually worse and worse. And there's no winners here. And that's what I had to stress at all of this. There's no winners. Regardless of which way you peel this onion, it's still an onion. And yeah, no one likes to eat raw onions. What am I talking about? Onions! It's a horrible situation. If there is financial abnormalities, this has real implications for our association. If there will be a formal investigation, that honestly has possibly terrifying results for all of us in the bagpiping world. We could honestly result in not having an association. They could fold as a result of this, declare bankruptcy and close the doors, and our competitive season will be no more. There'll be no Scottish, no Euros, no UKs, there'll be no Worlds. There'll be no association controlling competitive piping and drumming here in the UK and perhaps around the world, because the RSPBA is the governing body of most of the international branches. So this is genuinely worrying. When the RSPBA is the kingpin and it's now looking like it could possibly fall, I can't tell you how concerning that is as a bagpiping fan. Like, genuinely, it worries me. Like, I'm a pipe band commentator, and I talk about this situation, but this is the first time, and I'm genuinely scared about things, thinking, this time next year, we might not have a competition season to talk about. This investigation could get launched formally, And we might not have an association at the end of this. It's genuinely concerning, and I know people think, oh God, Rab, you're being melodramatic. Honestly, no. That is one of the potential outcomes of this. If an investigation is formally launched by the charity regulator, they could lose everything. If the decision goes the wrong way and they tell them, too many financial implications here, too many dodgy dealings or whatever, you guys need to shut down. That's where we are. That's the reality of it. And it's so scary, to be honest, because the competitive piping world is the lifeblood of the bagpiping world here in Northern Ireland, and I've been involved in it since I'm no age, and it's been a generational thing for me and many other families. And the potential of losing that is genuinely scary. So on that happy note, that's where we are at the minute, folks, at the end of part 3 of the headquarters redevelopment debacle. Yes, our headquarters has been redeveloped. It's all shiny and new, and RSPBA put out a big story, thanks to John Hughes, who told us, yes lads, we have a new headquarters, lovely soundproofed walls and all, new paint job and all, it looks class. We've got a place to put trophies and all, new fancy seats and all, and a big computer system and all, it's class. We love our new office, it's brilliant. And everyone else is left scratching their head thinking, what? Where'd you get the money for that? Alright guys, I am honestly sick to the back teeth talking about this. I know that sounds ultra aggressive. I am genuinely scared the direction our bagpiping world is going at the moment. It concerns me greatly. And I really wish this story would go away. I want it to stop. I want to be able to talk about competitive piping and drumming again. And the positive side of the bagpiping world. This has been such a negative episode thanks to this topic. I can forgive you for hitting fast forward or skipping to the end. It's been truly horrible. It's not a nice situation. I would love to know your guys' opinions on this, of course. And don't worry, if you want to be kept anonymous, you will be. You can email us in bigrabshow@gmail.com. And again, if any of you guys out there in the association want to get in contact with us to try and help tell your story, tell us just what's going on at the moment, you can email us in bigrabshow@gmail.com. And again, we will keep it completely anonymous. It just would be good to get something in the way of an answer to any of these questions at all. Give me something. I'm trying to help you guys. I think, what was that word again? Exacerbated? That's the word I want to use. There you go.